episode of the Restoration Today podcast is brought to you by One Claim Solution. Did you know it takes about 45 days for most contractors to get paid for an emergency services job, and some report much worse wait times? Either way, that's a long time to get paid, especially with the stresses of keeping up with payroll and overhead costs. One Claim Solution is an insurance billing solution that not only gets their clients paid in 32 days on average, but also improves profitability and handles all communication with adjusters. You deserve to work with a specialist that has well-trained attorneys and staff, proprietary purpose-built technology, and rigorous time-proven processes needed to deliver a best-in-class insurance billing capability. One Claim Solution will handle it all so you can focus on what matters most, running your business. Visit oneclaimsolution.com for more. Hey there, thanks for checking out another episode of the Restoration Today podcast. Today I have a return guest. He is from Restoration One. He runs Restoration One of Spokane. It is Scott Whitaker. He has some big news that we're sharing this week that he has sold to a private equity firm. This, as far as my knowledge goes, is the first time that I have heard of a franchise getting involved with PE and a PE being involved in the franchise space and what that looks like. So this could be yet another shift that's coming into the industry when we're talking about M&A and consolidation or expansion or whatever that may be of the industry. So I'm very excited to have Scott here to chat about what this means for his company, what this journey has looked like for him, kind of what the process looked like, especially when he's working with a larger franchisor as the franchisee and getting PE involved. So Scott, thank you very much for being here and joining me and sharing your story. Congrats again on the transaction. That's really exciting for you, I am sure, and your team. So start off by giving people a little bit of background about you and your R1.
I opened Restoration One in 2017, September 2017. I was actually on the fire department still at that time. I was a paid professional firefighter at that time for 9 years when I opened. Mm-hmm. And I had a carpet cleaning business as well. I owned a carpet cleaning business that had 5 employees and 2 vans. Did more commercial work than we did residential. Mm-hmm. And just continually looked around for something different, something bigger. I didn't see myself staying in the fire department world for 30 years. I didn't think that was something I wanted to do. So looked into different realms of the restoration industry, saw Restoration One, liked their take on things and jumped in with them. 2017, we opened in September. 2018, just a kind of a rocket ship. We did $1 million in 2018. 2019 we did 3.4. 2020 we did 4.7. We actually bought and built with the intention of exactly what just happened. I mean, that was our end game goal, was, hey, I want to build a business that's actually sellable. And so in doing so, we did things very, very different than most people do, right? Most people pay, they want to take losses on their business and they want to show as little profit as they possibly can. I hear it all the time. And we did not do that. We built this thing to be a machine, and it still is right now a very well-oiled machine that does very well, shows profits. And because of that, it was something that other people looked at and said, whoa, this looks good. And so, as I said, in 2020, we ended up doing, I think 4.7. 21 we did 6.9 and then 7.4, and last year 22 we ended up doing 9.2, I think is where we finished, and that's mitigation and contents, no reconstruction. So yeah, we built it to sell it, and that's what we just did. So
how many of those years were you the top franchise in R1, top performing franchise?
I don't remember exactly. 2018 we got the franchise or the rookie of the year. Mm-hmm. And then 2019 was the franchise of the year. But there was a couple of franchisees that had higher volume still.
Okay.
And then I think in 21, 22 we started topping the chart, and I don't know what 22 looks like. I don't know if anybody did more than we did or not. I have no idea.
Okay. All right. It's a fast growing franchise. I feel like it's out of all the franchises, the one that everybody's kind of watching because you do things differently. So I like it. Okay. So how long ago did the process with the PE firm start? When did the conversation start?
Well, that started only 8 or 9 months ago, but
Okay.
the sale process actually started almost 2 years ago. I I met up with JT kind of 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I saw what he did, and those of you that don't know JT, he owns Exit Strategies 360, and if this is a great plug for him, then so be it, because I would not do it without him again. So um, very, 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 very knowledgeable, not just in the restoration industry, but in the being a broker for restoration companies.
Yes.
I mean, I can't say enough good about him. So the process actually started with him about 2.5 years ago, where him and I hooked up, and he told me how he operates, and that he can take a look at where we are now and start the valuation process. And then as we continue to grow, he just keeps updating those numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not a consultant in any way. He's very clear on that and says, hey, based on what you do and what you see, this is what I put a value at. And so we kept that number moving, which for him was probably a lot of work because it was a constant moving target. So even during our sale process, the number was a moving target. So it was kind of a weird deal, but it started that long ago. We knew what our end game was and worked with a broker for that long to position ourselves to where when it was time, we listed, I think in March of 22.
Okay.
Had a couple different people come in and make offers.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel right with those people. I didn't think we would jive together and be able to go a long game, because just because I sold doesn't mean I'm gone. Doesn't mean I want to be gone. I have still a lot to offer. And so I just wanted to lock up some retirement. Being off the fire department now, I was able to take some money off the table, take some risk off the table, and now bring some friends to the party and continue the growth. And so from March to probably August, we had 2 or 3 people looking at it that were I didn't feel very good about. And then I think in August, Traction came along.
Okay.
And Traction Capital. And kind of funny, JT called me. He goes, hey, we need to talk to you about something. And he said, I think these ones are different. And it was very interesting conversation we had. And we started the process with them, and every step of the process with them has been an amazing, not your normal, what you hear of the way PE works.
Okay.
And I think partly because Traction they don't call themselves private equity, they call themselves permanent equity. They want to buy and hold. They don't want to buy and create more money and flip it. They want to hold the asset for a long time. So they do own, I think 5 other companies other than us, so 6 total.
Okay.
And same thing with those companies that they're building add-ons to those companies right now. So very interesting, great group of guys.
So, and you don't have to share specifics, were some of the other people or companies that were interested restoration companies versus PE, or was it more like people outside the industry and you're just looking for the right fit? You don't have
They were all PEs.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
It was all private equity.
So, okay. So what you just mentioned it a little bit, but what did set them apart? Like, how did you help narrow down what was a good fit for your company?
I don't know. Having face-to-face meetings with people, just how you and I are talking, you can kind of get a feel of how somebody operates. And like one of the people that came in, I mean, he actually came in above valuation, said, I'll pay you X number of dollars right here. And then I don't know, it didn't sit well. And I could tell if it was that I had to work with this person. And so I was like, I just didn't feel it. And so I very quickly told JT, tell him never mind, I'm not interested. So
okay. So how closely were you working with JT over the 2.5 years, moving into 2022? I mean, how often were you updating numbers with him and creating kind of this trajectory toward where you wanted to go?
In the beginning, not often. When I first he did the valuation of the business. he put us at a certain valuation, and I just knew where that was at that point. And then as we continued to go, I think I only sent him information like probably 6 months later to say, hey, this is where we're at now. And then another 6 months later, hey, this is where we're at now. And the target kept moving. And then as we got close to going to market, he did it one more time and said, all right, this is where I think we're living.
Okay.
And during, I mean, just to tell you, it was a drastic change from March of 22 to when we actually closed. We were still like on a straight going up. And so there was a lot of movement in the actual deal too, which speaks volumes to traction, right? That they put in a letter of intent at a certain space, but still understood what was happening with the business, and they were able to adjust, and they're very flexible, like very flexible.
Okay. So, all right. So being part of a larger franchise system, what did this look like within the R1 world? I mean, did you need to work with them? Was there some policy even like on the franchise side that had to change to make this all possible?
So, I was part of the franchise advisory council, still am.
Okay.
And so during that time, like nobody knew at the table while I was sitting there that talks were going on. So it was kind of funny. I'd show up, talk to R1 corporate for a few minutes off into a corner, and then we'd all get around the table with the rest of the franchisees and act like nothing was going on.
Yeah.
R1 corporate was in the beginning, this is new to them, right? And so they were like, hey, whoa, time out a minute. We need to figure out if this is a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
And really had to think about how does the puzzle fit, right? And so I think they realized it's a good thing. I think they realized that we all want the same thing. We all want growth.
Yep.
And R1 corporate, I mean, Stellar Brands is owned by MPK, which is private equity. And so I think it all came together just fine. I did not do that whole work on the background. I didn't do any of it with Restoration One Corporate. It was Traction doing all the Traction Capital and Stellar Brands, and the attorneys doing all the work on how it looks for franchise FDDs and everything else.
Sure.
And it was in the 11th and a half hour. It continually was a moving target on that too, where we were waiting for paperwork to go back and forth. So we got through it. Everybody got through it, and I think everybody's happy at this point.
Okay. All right. So now kind of what's your next goal, your next step from here? You've got this backing, you've grown exponentially like crazy over the last few years. So now what? Now you've got
We're not done.
No, of course not. Not done.
Matter of fact, I'm heading 2 hours south of where I'm at right now I've got, I think, 7 appointments later this afternoon for hiring.
Okay.
Hopefully I can hire a group of people to start up our Tri-Cities location. And on the heels of that, we have Yakima. That is another 2-hour jaunt to the west of the Tri-Cities. So we'll have, that's prior to the end of the year, we're looking there. We do have multiple other areas outside of our state that we're either looking to acquire or greenfield. We're not sure at this point, but there is some acquisitions that we're definitely talking about. And probably a 3-year plan. I would imagine we probably have, right now we only have Wenatchee and Spokane that are open. Okay. And I bet you in the next 3 years, we probably have 10 to 12, I would imagine, that are fully operating. And the plan is back office, one big massive back office, pushing everything to the other places. And that's the goal, right? We'll see if we can pull it off.
So what about R1 continues to inspire you to grow within this space instead of maybe turning toward the independent side? I know it can be, there's things to get out of a franchise, but you've stayed within R1. So what within R1 is encouraging you to continue to grow with AIR?
I don't have any heartache. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that probably have heartache. I knew what I got into when I signed the paperwork with them. I understand what they're there for, and I understand what I'm here for. And I think there's a lot of people that feel that Scott gets mad at things, and I am vocal. I'm a very vocal person. When I'm unhappy about something, I don't have a problem going directly to R1 corporate, to the president, or to even Stellar Brands and saying, this is what I see as a problem, and it's probably why they voted me as the Franchise Advisory Council president. However, I don't have any heartburn, even though I still bring things forward. I don't have any heartburn. At the end of the day, this is what everybody needs to understand. Their location is either successful or not successful because of them. That's what it comes down to. Yes. You can sit here and blame somebody in another state at a corporate level, but that's not the facts. That's an excuse. And you're either going to be successful with or without them. And so I made that decision from day one. I don't have any heartache, and I'm going to make sure I'm successful, even if it's despite someone else.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. So.
Okay. Well, before we wrap it up, any advice that you would give people who are thinking about selling? This is an interesting path to go, because I think that to a certain extent, we're kind of getting to the point where a lot of companies have been approached by another restoration company to get bought. I don't know that it's going to slow down a ton, but most people have been approached at this point, right? So PE is a different space where you can, maintain some control, still be in the company, not have to sell completely to somebody else, change brand, whatever. So anyway, any advice that you would give other people thinking about a change or looking into PE?
I would do you got to do your own due diligence, and first off, you got to look into what you're trying to accomplish from it, right?
Yeah.
I have heard there's a slew of companies being bought up by other companies, and I mean, it's happening all over.
Yes.
And on the backside of that, I've heard a lot of negative. I've heard that people are jumping out as fast as they're getting bought. They're unhappy, and people are getting fired, and like, it's just kind of a mess. And that's what I want to be, the other end of that, to show that, hey, you know what, you can play nicely and still grow and have a really, really good relationship with the private equity side of this. And I think you can. I just think you need to know who you're dealing with, and not take the first person that comes to you that throws you these big numbers. And it's not all about the big numbers. It's you got to deal with these people, or you got to be ready to walk away, right?
Yes.
And so for me, I had to make sure I was dealing with the right people. And I do really, truly believe that we'll be able to grow and continue to grow this to a very good size.
Yes. All right, Scott. Well, congrats. I look forward to seeing you maybe at the R1 convention this year and seeing where you take your business from here. I'm sure you will go far. And for those who are listening to the podcast, please go back and watch Scott's other podcast. It was one of our most popular podcasts in 2022. And he talks about using the S500 to back up getting paid. And it has some insanely valuable information in it. So Scott, thank you very much. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. Good luck with those interviews.
For more Restoration Today and the latest news, visit our website, cnrmagazine.com, and find the latest episodes of the Restoration Today podcast on your favorite podcasting platform.